Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about a fanfiction called Contrary to Popular Belief. Details of this fanfiction will be in description below. This entire it's a short little fanfiction, but it's entirely about Chad just finding out new things about Robert, and he's like slowly falling even more in love than he already was, right? Because this is where, after everything's settled, right, and he's kind of dealt with most of his, feelings regarding him being, the real doctor, him being Mecha Man, still mad that his fingers got cut off. But other than that, like, he's not like a child, so like he's fine, right? He's not gonna burn him. And so it's not just Chad, it's like all of them think it, like the entire Z team, where they think that like the first chapter is that it's revealing that he can cook because Robert can cook, contrary to popular belief. He can, but obviously the team don't think he does. So they're surprised when he comes in with lunches, like an actual lunch, and it's food. They recognize me like it's Korean food, right? Because this is where I forgot. It was originally what was it? It was like originally Robert was supposed to be, he was gonna be made to be like half Korean, but they felt it was too similar to be Mark Grayson, which just go for it, who cares? But whatever. So they didn't end up going through with that, but it doesn't matter. So in this one, he is half Korean, and so he comes in with very like clearly like this is Korean style lunches. This is a bento box, right? And they notice this and they're like, "Who's cooking for you? Like, where are you getting this?" And of course, Chad's like, "Oh my god, no! Just when I just had came to the conclusion, and dealt with my feelings of him being Mega Man, and just when I was like, I was just flirting with him, he's getting souped up by some hot Korean guy." It's like, no way. So, like, and obviously he's like, well, because Robert, of course, is like, no, I cooked it myself. And of course, they don't believe him, which he doesn't really care. But he's like, oh, well, if, it's true, like, why don't you prove it, right? So then that ends up, like, for a week from now, this is how they end up having dinner at his place, right? And he says, like, okay, well, you have to give me some money, like, you're paying for it. So they do. So that's how they end up the situation. They're going to his apartment to have dinner. And this is where Robert, again, he always knew how to cook. It's just that he was broke. Like, he didn't have any money. $60 a month. What am I going to do with that? What groceries am I getting, right? So, and now that his like paychecks aren't like under review anymore, he's got plenty of money now, right? So of course he's now spending it, he's cooking. Like, his favorite memories are of that cooking with his mom. And he does wish that he looked a bit more like her, but can't really change that. Because instead he's almost like an exact replica. And it's not like his ethnicity really ever comes up, and he never corrects any of them when they say like, oh, our favorite white boy, right? He never corrects any of them, doesn't really care. Because again, he knows what he looks like. An exact copy of his dad, right? He's very few from his mom, like the freckles, his eyes, his stature. Doesn't really get much, right? He looks kind of exactly like his dad. But some of his favorite memories are, bonding with his mom and cooking. So when he does end up cooking, Chase is the only one that's like very, I don't know if in the know is the right way to put it, but like he's the one who knows, right? He's had her cooking before, and he's ate their food, so he's the only one that really knows, right? So when they go over there, Chad's immediately like, okay, he's immediately scoping the place out. He's like, okay, there's no new guy hanging around anywhere. It's like, because there's no one there. So immediately it's like, okay, it's looking less like he has like some secret Korean boyfriend. Because like he was secretly hoping, even if he did, like he just sucks as a person, so that way he can convince Robert to dump him, to date him instead. Baby, what? But obviously it doesn't exist. So they're all eating and they're all pleasantly surprised because all of it is Korean food, and Robert does prefer making it because again it reminds him of his mom and spending time with her, and he just kind of prefers Korean food anyway to anything else. But they're all pleasantly surprised, especially when he starts bringing out, desserts and everything. So in the end, when it's just because Chad lingers, right? So he's helping clean up, and then he's been like wiping down the table for like 15 minutes at this point because it's just been too long. He's like, okay, what did you finally like ask your questions now that we're alone, right? It's like, because obvious you clearly wanted to, because you've been wiping the same spot for like 15 minutes now. And this is where he does, get on him, right? It's like, oh, the dinner you made. It's like clearly he's like, oh yeah, it's like it doesn't come out often, but I am half Korean. It's like, yeah, started to kind of get that idea with how no one else in sight, and how Chase even brought up his mother. He does tease him though, because it's like, you're half Korean, but like you end up with the name Robert Robertson, but obviously tradition from his dad. But they do, say, like he does say like his mom did choose his middle name, which is Hyun. So Robert Hyun Robertson. Fantastic. But they do trade names and they talk for a bit. And he does ask, like, oh, how much Korean, like, does he know then? And in Korean, Robert does respond, like, so he does know it. He does say, he's like, enough for me to tell you that you're hot as hell. Just without it. And this is like when Chad is like on the other side of it, right? Because he's always been told that when he speaks, in his native language, like in his native tongue, that it's like, oh, it's very hot when he speaks it, right? Now he's on the other side of it, hearing Robert speak Korean, not knowing anything he's saying, probably insulting him, and he doesn't care. He just finds it hot. And just be the end of it. But eventually it does end up going home. And then, like, right as he's falling asleep, he's pissed himself because he realizes, oh, that's right. I forgot to ask him out. The second thing that, we learn is that it's very common, like, they think that Robert had dropped out of school, which isn't true. He absolutely did not drop out of school. He even has, like, some college credits, right? But it is very common in their field of work to, for, so it's a fair assumption that he would, because he was so young, right? Because it's very common for younger heroes to just like, just flunk out, fail, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Because this is your career path you're going down. So it's very common. And this is where it's also like a learning curve for Robert, because along the way, he was finding out just how smart he was, because he was kind of isolated. He was isolated, right? Because he was homeschooled by his dad to keep him from distractions, right? So he never had anyone else around to compare to, of like how smart like a 15-year-old should be, because he's over here doing rocket science like it's nothing. And it's like not really realizing that like no 15-year-old can do that, right? That's not, and he completed school very early on too. So the first time he ever learned that was when he was helping out a fellow hero and he was defusing a bomb. And he was very confused because, like, the hero praised him and thanked him. And he was confused because, I mean, anyone could do that, until he's realizing, like, it's setting into him, like, just how smart he is, right? And not in, like, a, like a I'm better than you type of way. It's just realizing, like, oh, no one else really, it's comparing of, like, no one else can do these, hack into just, like, these government level type things, right? Just casually, right? And so learning that he would adjust, like, depending on who he's talking to, who he's hanging around to, he would adjust, like, how he was thinking and who, like, talking about, basically, right? Because he wouldn't reveal, like, his almost nerdier side. And then in comes Royd, who's basically not that, and kind of the same as Robert. So he can nerd out all he wants to, and he loves it. That being said, it's not Chad's favorite. Chad sees this and he's like, no, competition, no. So he tries his best to interrupt that moment as much as possible, drag him away, do whatever. He doesn't want him spending that much time with Royd. And at first, Robert doesn't really notice, right? Until like it gets to the point where it's like every time he talks to Royd, and it's like, okay, this is getting a mess. So the one when he finally comes up to him to yet again pull him away from Royd, he just judo flips him and just yells at him like, "Can you?" Because he's thinking, because again, low self-esteem. So he's thinking he just has to be Royd, and he's like, so he's not really paying attention. He's yelling at Chad. He's like, "Could you not?" He's like, "Whatever you have it, Royd. Like, keep me out of it. Like, I don't want any part of it." So he storms off. He's annoyed. He's cursing Korean. He's over it. Roy's like, "It's fine." I'm like, "Oh, just cool off for a minute." It's like, I'll talk to your, like, he's talk to Chad for a bit. And talking to Chad, they basically have like a conversation where he's like, "I'm not after him, right? Like, you don't have to worry. You get jealous. Nothing. I'm not after him, right?" And because to Royd, he's like, "Oh, Robert's like, he's like, I don't swing that way. But even if I did, he's like my little brother. Like, there's absolutely nothing going on, right?" Which kind of makes Chad feel better because, again, Roy's intention towards Robert, okay, now it's clear, right? He's not into Robert. But that doesn't mean Robert's not into him, which he's still kind of worried about. But leaving the lab, he runs to Robert again, and Robert apologizes for flipping him over. But he says, like, "I'm sorry for doing it," but it's just, Royd's like the only person that I can run out to, like, and talk about the soup with and talking about whatever with, right? And like Chad at this point feeling like, okay, I was a dick, because it's like he really is, because it's not like he understands anything that Robert says when he talks about all that technical stuff. So Royd kind of really is the only person there he can talk to and will understand and, like, trade ideas back and forth with, because no one else really understands it. So, but this also, makes Chad feel better, because now it's cements, okay, he's not into him, but also now he feels like a dick because he was he was interfering with it, so now he kind of feels bad. And so they kind of that little cute little moment, and then Robert ends it by, again, talking in Korean to him, basically saying like, "Oh, if you ever need to talk to someone, you can always come to me," and again in Korean. So he has no idea what he said. So he's like, "What did you say?" Of course, Robert doesn't answer. He just walks away, winks at him. Just so Chad's again on the other side of, like, you could say whatever you want in that language. I don't care. I just find it hot. The third thing is that Robert is a romantic, right? He's a romantic art. He loves, but not the type where it's like the over the top, loud, uh, you know, show off type thing, like oh my god, what? Declarations. Oof, boy. Like, he doesn't, like, not those type of gestures, more like the soft, quiet moments that you share between two people that, you do just cuz, and not so much the over the top ones that almost like you're showing off to other people, right? Like how Calm gets Janelle every Friday her favorite pastries, right? And he finds, like, he finds it very cute. It's very sweet to him. And coincidentally, that morning, Chad had left him on his desk a latte from his favorite cafe, or from his favorite whatever, right? It's his favorite. And he finds it very sweet, and of course he can't help it, right? But he quickly kind of brushes it off. Again, low self-esteem, right? So he doesn't believe that he's doing this for anything other than just, like, he's being nicer, right? Because he has noticed that Chad is like, "Oh, he's been nicer over the past few days," but he thinks that's just it, right? Because he does the same thing for Alice. He is the same type of he thinks that are kind of affection, right? Because he touches Robert more. He gives him, like, he side hugs him, really, and leaves little things like this for him, like gifts, really. But again, he brushes it off. No way he could be into him, because his self-image is that he's plain, right? There's really not much for him to stand out other than his ear and, like, his other scars on his body. But too much kind of leaves you look like a patchwork, and that people kind of don't find that attractive. So he doesn't have, like, the greatest self-image. It's like in hell is where it is, right? And Chase, of course, knows this, and he's like, "Oh, you're into Chad," like, of course. And of course Robert is. Of course, I mean, he's not gonna admit that. He's like, "Even if I was, it wouldn't matter, because he clearly can do better than me." And Chase is like, "What are you talking about? You could do better than him, if anything," right? But Chase knows Robert, and, like, he just, it's like in hell, his low self-esteem, right? So it's not, even though he can clearly see he's just as into you as you are into him, it's not gonna work out. But before this, of course, he's gotta give Chad the shovel talk. He's gonna make sure he's like, he's gotta make sure Chad's like not doing anything. So he goes to Chad. He's like, after your shift, come meet me in the meeting room. Don't run off. I'll kick your ass. Chad just looking at him like, what is happening? What? And he's like, okay. And he just kind of ignores him. But then he gets dragged into there. So he goes talking. He's like, what are your intentions with my kid? Right? He's like, what are your intentions with Robert? Like, I've known him since he was like 6 or whatever. It's like, what are your intentions with him? It's like, what? It's just like a power trip? You just want to sleep with him? Like, what is it? And Chad is genuinely like pissed off at this point, like of him insinuating that. He like abruptly stands up and like heat is coming off of him, but like he's keeping it calm, not bursting into flames yet. But he's genuinely pissed off that he doesn't like really, like he just kind of yells at Chad in that moment and like not even in English. Like you've gone senile if you think like that's all that I want to do with him. Like if you think that all I want to do is sleep with him, right? He yells that, not in English, of course. So Chase has to be like, English, I don't understand you. What the fuck are you saying to me? And so he's like, look. And so Chad's very firm with it too. He's like, look, I love Robert, okay? And I'm not gonna stop pursuing him just because his grandpa doesn't like me. Like he's very firm on that, right? And his intentions and how he's not backing down unless, Robert kind of tells him to, or like something else happens. And Chase knows this because they both like each other. It's so stupidly obvious. So he at least makes sure he's like, okay, I promise you're not gonna hurt him. And Chad responds honestly very, because he's like, look, I can't promise that. Like relationships are messy. You're bound to hurt the other one, even if you don't really like. You're bound to hurt your significant other, even if you don't really mean to hurt them. But and he promises like, but I promise that I will cherish and love him, right? So very like, is mature the right word I'm looking for? I don't know, but he's very like, okay. So, and for this is almost like Chase is like, okay, even though he's still like, ugh, he could do better than you, but like, now that you're kind of like, I mean, you're reformed, so you're not the worst thing you can do, which, I mean, probably the highest compliment you're gonna get from him. So I guess after that, it's like, it's kind of his approval now, but he leaves him one last thing. It's like, okay, by the way, he's romantic, right? He loves all that sappy shit, so make sure you get him flowers. Because that was Chad's plan. That's why he's been leaving him like the latte and like, little gifts here and there. Him and Alice came up with a plan of like, okay, I'm gonna woo him by getting him all these things, proving proving I can provide for him, and then killing it out in the field, proving that like, look how I handle myself, and then ask him on a date, which is like, sure. So that was like, that's why he's been leaving. Like that's his plan. And so now he's checking off because the dinner is already planned out, right? He's like, he's gonna have a dinner. He's gonna ask him then, and so that's why he adds get some flowers to the list because learning from Chase that he loves the type of romantic gestures, right? The soft ones. So yeah, just getting flowers to the list. Finally, the time has come for Chad's plan to be in action, right? It's Friday. He rushes after shift ends to immediately change and get everything ready, right? The team are going out to the bar. And he got Alice to cover for why, him and Robert wouldn't possibly, why they wouldn't be there, right? To just cover for them, why make up on whatever. But probably not because Alice. And why they wouldn't be there. Because this is the night he's going to ask her out, right? And he rushes home. And because, hearing about like his little romantic side, he's gone all out, right? He stepped it up. He's got the flowers. He decorated everything nice. Like he got the table, a red tablecloth. He got his best wine. He he's even thinking about like he's got the chair correctly positioned so he can easily pull out, Robert's chair for him. He's he's got the candles. He's got everything, right? He's ready for it, right? And so on his way to Robert's place, he's got the flowers ready. And on his way to like his apartment, he's already getting nervous, right? He's like second guessing himself, like, oh god, what if Chase is wrong? He's on them. and this is stupid, right? But he can't pack it now. Too late, especially since Alice would definitely make fun of him for it, right? So commit to it. So he does, obviously. And Robert, for once, is wearing something different. It's like an oversized sweater and some just faded jeans. Great. Um, Nothing special, but he's mesmerized by it. And this is where he is like, he's trying to hold it together. He's like keeping cool, leaning against the door frame, like, hey, like, and like so he asks in the dinner, and of course, Robert, again, being romantic, loves this, right? He's given flowers and he's asked to dinner, so of course he said yes. So they end up going. Chad's like, he's like, he's celebrating, right? Especially since as he's like leaving, he puts his hand like arm around his waist to guide him, and he leads into it. So he's celebrating. They get to dinner. Dinner's going great. He pulls out his chair for him. Everything's going smooth, right? But he waits for the perfect moment. Everything is smooth. They end up having dessert, which is just like some chocolate that Alice had given him, and he waits for the perfect moment, which is after Robert is like telling a story about beef getting stuck behind the couch for popcorn, and this is where he's decided in the moment to go in for the kiss, right? Of course, before he does, he says, that he loves him. Of course, not in English, but he says that he loves him. And he goes in for the kiss. And afterwards, like, of course, Robert has no objection to it. Like, afterwards, Robert says, how did he get so lucky? In Korean, not in English. Chad, again, still on the other end, he's like, I don't even know what you're saying to me, but it's still hot. And they split, and now he's confident, like, okay, now they're dating, and he's confident that he can call him his boyfriend. And so they spend the rest of the night watching movies, cuddling, and then come one day morning, or the next morning, they go in, obviously, Robert's rolling his eyes because Chad already has his arm wrapped around him. RCC team, Alice money now. They owe Alice money because, of course, they turned into like a bet. So all of them owe her $894, which, again, real specific number. Why didn't we just round? Well, no, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't round it. If I had bet $200, right, I'm not gonna add like $6 more just to round it out. That's like $206 that I'm possibly losing out on. So I'm not gonna lie, I would just bet whatever and it comes out to whatever. So all of them owe her $894 now. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!